Hi, my name is Joy Langley. I am an emotional intelligence coach and I'm also a therapist and I'm based in the UK. Now, my story is all around loss and grief and bereavement, mainly because I've had five significant people pass in a very short space of time. I never imagined I would be burying my son. My 23-year-old son, unfortunately, Riaz J, he took his life in 2018, which came off the back of a diagnosis around bipolar, which we really felt he was dealing with quite well. But obviously, as time went on, he was living at home with me. I think he found it harder and harder to cope with. And when he took his own life in 2018, it was devastating. A shock for me, a shock for all my family. We couldn't believe how someone so lively, so vital, so much to offer the world, so together could even contemplate doing something like that. And I suppose I lived in hope that the therapists that I'd given him in the end that he accepted were helping him, and the mental health team that were around him, that they were supporting him too. So I think I'd done everything that I could to help him, plus just be a mum. You know, I'm a mum way before I'm a therapist. So who listens to their mum? Nobody. But I tried my best. And when my son passed, I was left with a lot of feelings about my profession, how whether I was capable of working in this profession, whether I was good enough to work in this profession. After all, I hadn't managed to save the life of my son. So perhaps I'm not very good at this. Of course, all of this guilt and all of this shame disappeared over time, which was good. And then in 2020, unfortunately, my elder sister and her daughter passed. Now, it was nothing to do with COVID. It was to do with, I'm gulping here, but cancer. They both had different forms of cancer and they died. And again, it was a blow. It was during the COVID, which made it even more difficult to deal with it in terms of people being around one another and wearing masks, etc. So it was dreadful. It was dreadful. And just when we thought we were getting over that, uh, my parents died in 2021. So I've really been under this dark space of just people passing. Now, I'm not surprised that people die. We're born, we live, we die. It's normal, but you just don't want it to happen to you. So within that space, I've spoken to friends. I've got some friends who are therapists, and I've got friends who are therapists where their partners have died too in similar ways. So it's been hard. I can't pretend it's not been hard for me, but I have people around me and I've cried. I still have moments when I feel tearful. I still have moments when it just comes to my mind and I have to process it. But what I want you to understand is that if you're going through something similar to do with grief and bereavement and loss, that I don't want you to just do it all by yourself. I don't want you to just hide it. Even in the workplace, let people know. It may affect the way that you're working naturally because it's hard to focus. So let people know. Don't carry it all by yourself. Tap into the therapists and the other services that are around you, whether it's through your work or whether it's just through charities and helplines that you see. And obviously, I'm on this site, so have a look at their information too. Get the help if you can. Don't be left with dealing with grief, loss, and bereavement all by yourself. And these three things that I've just mentioned, they don't just happen because people have died. They happen because sometimes you've lost a job. That can feel like the biggest blow ever. You lose your identity. What about if you've just lost your home? Huge. Or even if you found out that you have an illness that's not great. All of these things in life, they happen, but don't do it by yourself. I would encourage you to find other people. I have survived it. I think that my therapy and my emotional intelligence training helps me to know who I am, to understand who I am, because it's a long journey. It doesn't stop. You don't just turn things on and off like a tap. I still remember stuff. I still have moments when I'm sad, when I cry, when I wish it hadn't happened. I wish it was all a bad dream. But I want you to seek help. I don't want you to do this on your own. So look at the information on this website, get the help that you can, and get through this. Thank you for listening.